Hey guys, welcome to the All Sports Pass Podcast North. I'm your host, X-Nice X, and welcome to the next video in the SEC Schedule Prediction Series, where today I'm covering the LSU Tigers. Before I get into it, keep in mind, these are my predictions. These are what I think will happen during the course of the season. And also another thing before we get into this video, if y'all want to say your predictions in the comments, feel free to. I'll try my best to respond to each and every one of you. And also, leave a like, subscribe for more college football content and more SEC schedule predictions. Without further ado, let's begin. So for LSU, they're coming into a 10-3. They're coming into the season following a 10-3 season, and of course a win in the ReliaQuest Bowl against Wisconsin. And for LSU, they also had Jaden Daniels win Heisman last season, and Jaden Daniels is in the NFL now. He was taken second overall in the draft by the Washington Commanders. And LSU also had two more people taken in the first round. And due to time constraints, I'm not really going to talk much about their stats. But however, I will say that they also have Malik Neighbors, and they don't have Malik Neighbors anymore. Sorry, he was taken by the Giants in the NFL draft, and for Neighbors, he actually is the all-time leader in reception yards for the LSU Tigers with 3,003, and just impressive. And I really want to see what he's going to do in the NFL. I want to see how he can contribute to the Giants team, who is still pretty much rebuilding. And also, speaking of guys, if y'all want to see NFL content, let me know. It just depends on, if I can get it out in the week. Only time you'll really see NFL is really in the postseason. So I thought I'd let you know in this video. Let me know if you want to see some NFL content in the future, because I'll happily do it. But anyway, and also they also had Brian Thomas Jr. taken in the draft. He was selected round 1, pick 23, and he led the FBS in 2023 with 17 receiving touchdowns in 2023, and man, and he got drafted to Jacksonville, so it's going to be interesting. Now, of course, they also lost some players in the transfer portal, and what I'm going to say is that one of them is, of course, Lance Hurd going to Tennessee, and they get Jordan Gilbert from Texas A&M. They get C.J. Daniels from Liberty University. They lose Quincy Wiggins to Colorado, and Jalen Brown, they lose him to Florida State. Jackson Howard to Minnesota. Xavier Thomas transfer to Mississippi State. Denver Harris going to UTSA, and then Logan Diggs going to Ole Miss. And it's also, like I said, guys, usually I would do stats tonight, but unfortunately, due to time constraints, I am not able to. So I'm just mentioning these guys here. So yeah, I just thought I'd let that go in here. And all right, and so heading into this season, LSU is honestly, from what I've been seeing from other predictions, they've had some good records. And I can kind of agree, but however, let's just see what I think here tonight. And of course, keep in mind, like I said, these are my predictions. These are what I think will happen during the season. And of course, football, you never know. It's a game of inches. You will see some upsets. You'll see some games that you think that a team will win that they end up losing. You'll see a game that a team you got losing will end up winning, and vice versa. All right, but all right, enough of my yapping. Let's go ahead and start schedule predictions. So week 1, it's a neutral site game. They're playing against USC, and fun fact about USC, it's actually their first season in the Big Ten after leaving the Pac-12. Excuse me. And to be honest, I have to say this. I really think that, USC has kind of been a bit down. They're coming into the season following a 7-5 season. And hold on a minute. Let me pull it up here. But however, LSU, I think will end up winning this game. However, let's just talk about USC last season a little bit. I do think that, of course, like so LSU. I'm sorry, you. Hold on, guys. Let's wind it back a bit. um, USC is coming into the season following an 8-5 season, excuse me, and they went 5-4 in Pac-12 play, and they won the Holiday Bowl against Louisville, and of course for these teams they lost to Utah, and they lost to Utah, lost to Washington, lost to Oregon, they lost to UCLA, and what I do think is the fact that usually when I hear USC, I usually think of, teams that are like really championship contenders, in my opinion. And now, of course, I'm not really, now keep in mind, I really think that, of course, USC can come in like with everyone in doubt. But however, I do think, so like I said, football's a game of inches. Anything can happen. But however, they don't have Caleb Williams anymore as a notable, who was saying first overall in the draft. But however, I do think that, of course, with USC, it's going to depend on, of course, it is first game, so there's not really much I can really say. But however, there is, this is being played at a neutral site, so it could be 50-50, and with no team having the home advantage, really. So it's going to, really determine who really wants it more, really. But I really think LSU is going to do this here, because I just think that, LSU can continue that momentum they've had the last season. So I'm going to give this one to LSU here. And of course, this might be a good game. This is going to be a good showdown in my opinion. So I may cover this on the channel if I can watch it, and I'll let you know what I thought of it if I can. But I just think LSU is going to end up winning this game. All right, and then the next game, they're playing their first home game of the season against Nichols, and let me tell you this, and sorry if I said it wrong, I really do not, now, personally, I don't really know how to pronounce their name, so someone in the comments let me know if I said that right, I think I did, just want to be sure, but however, Nichols is an FCS school, and, I'm sorry, FCS team. Now, of course, really FCS teams are weaker compared to the FBS teams. But however, I will say this. We have seen some upsets happen. Most notably, you've heard me talk about this on the channel before, 2007, App State at Michigan, where Michigan was ranked number 5, and then App State comes in and upsets them. And so really anything can happen. But however, I just think that, for a team like Nichols to come up to LSU to win this, it's probably going to be a bit unlikely. So I'm going to give this one to LSU here. And then next week, they're playing at South Carolina. And I do think that South Carolina is pretty much, a team that can upset people. But however, I really think that if South Carolina can do it, it would be, I would really be really surprised because, they lost some of their players, like notably quarterback Spencer Rattler, who went to the draft, who was drafted round 4, I believe. And keep in mind, guys, I haven't really, the draft was a month ago, so I'm kind of trying to remember the picks a little bit. But I'm pretty sure it was round 4. Let me see. He was drafted round 5, excuse me. Round 5, pick 150. And here, let me tell you this, little disclaimer. Last time I really made a video on this was I want to say a week or 2 ago. And of course, I've been a little bit busy since then, preparing with some stuff in my personal life, heading to the next chapter. So I'm going to say that. But however, I do want to say that, but anyway, I do want to say this, just so if I'm a little bit off today, just keep in mind that, that things have happened and I've been away from this for a little bit, so sorry this isn't really my best video. But anyway, South Carolina is finished with a 5-7 season last season, and of course, I just think that, of course, the 2022 South Carolina team, they've been able to upset two teams, including like they upset back then number 5 Tennessee and number 8 Clemson the next week. Now I do think that, of course, now South Carolina, of course, did not really have a good season. So I really think, of course, if South Carolina is able to get the win, it's gonna probably have to be where they're gonna have to play really good. But I'm gonna say this: it looks like South Carolina is a bit of a weaker team. So I'm gonna say this: I'm gonna give this win into LSU here, just simply because I think LSU is gonna be the better team. All right, and then the next game, they're playing UCLA at home, and also UCLA is actually joining the Big Ten as well. So of course, they're gonna. I just thought I'd just throw it out there as a little fun fact, a little bit. And for this, I do believe that that LSU can be the better team here as well. Like, it's a home game. LSU is crazy at home, in my opinion. And I do think that, UCLA, it depends on, how they're doing at this point of the season. So it's going to be a bit of a, it's still a bit early in the season. However, they did finish the season with a 7-5 record in the Pac, and they also went, hold on, let me read this here. They went 4-5 in conference, there. And they also won the LA Bowl against Boise State. And now they are going to be in the Big Ten. So it's going to be interesting, because when the Pac-12, with some of these teams going to the Big Ten, I'm interested to see what some of these teams can do in the Big Ten. But however, I'm just going to say this, I think LSU, honestly, is going to win this one as well. I simply believe that with LSU having home advantage, I think it's simply just going to happen. So I'm going to give this one to LSU here. All right, and then the next game, they are playing South Alabama in their home stadium. And South Alabama, let me tell you this is a win for LSU simply because I believe that South Alabama is a weaker team. And now for South Alabama, they're coming into this season 7-6, but however they mostly played against themselves, mostly in FCS and other teams. Now they did beat Oklahoma State, but however I do think that, of course, with some of these teams, I just think that there are just a lot of teams that I think. Now, of course, with South, I'm sorry, let me wind it back a little bit again, everybody. Now, for South Alabama, they're coming into the season 7-6. They went 4-4 in the Sun Belt Conference, and they won the 6-Day Adventures Bowl against Eastern Michigan. But I do think that South Alabama, is a bit of a weaker team. So I'm going to give this one to LSU here. Then the next week, they're playing Ole Miss. And I did say this in my Ole Miss video that I actually had LSU losing, and I think I'm going to keep that pick. In that video, I said Ole Miss had reinforced their defensive line pretty good, it looks like, as well as, getting former Texas A&M lineman Walter Nolan as well. Just I thought I'd throw that in as a little notable. Now, I do think that, of course, heading into the season, Ole Miss is going to be, I think, undefeated at this point, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Now I did say that they will be going 11-1. Ole Miss, that's what I said. Now, and of course, what I mean by is the fact that, heading in here now, Ole Miss had some successful seasons. They finished 11-2 last season, and when getting into these guys here, we start to see, can Ole Miss have more, success that they've had last season. It's going to depend on what they can do. Now, of course, with some of these teams, we start to think that, Ole Miss can do some stuff as well, but it just depends on, can they continue that success from last season? So let's just see. But however, I think I'm going to keep my pick from the Ole Miss video. I'm going to go Ole Miss here. All right, and then the next week, they're playing Arkansas at Arkansas. And I have to say, Arkansas, in my opinion, they're a weaker team. So I'm going to give this one to LSU here. Now, of course, Arkansas is I really think, Arkansas is really can be pretty good, but unfortunately, they've not really had as much success in recent years. So I do want to say this that, I want to say this though, that they've not had success really last season, but they did have some success in 2022. And now they go 4-8, and they nearly upset Alabama, believe it or not. They only lost 24-21, and of course for Arkansas, I think it's going to be a bit of a big test for Arkansas to get past LSU. So I'm going to give this one to LSU here. All right, and then the next one, they're going to play Texas A&M at Texas A&M, and I do think that Texas A&M is also a little bit of a weaker team. Now, of course, let me see this here real quick. Now, they did make it to a bowl where they lost to Oklahoma State, and also they don't have Jimbo Fisher anymore, and so it's going to be a bit more, so it's going to be interested to see what this new coach can do on offense. And what I do, I'm sorry, offense and defensive wise, sorry. So with Mike Elko, it's going to see what he can. We're going to see what he can. I want to see what he can do. But however, I just think if A&M doesn't really have much success, I'm going to say now. Well, now of course, in Elko's first season at Duke, he won. He led them to a 9-4 record and won the Military Bowl. And yeah, so I think he can bring some strength to this team, but however, I just don't think LSU. I don't think Texas A&M can defeat LSU in my opinion. So I'm gonna give this one to LSU. And then next week they're playing Alabama, and I have to say this. I've said in recent videos that I actually think that Alabama may be a bit weaker, and I think that might be the case. However, I just don't know if LSU can really, I don't know if LSU is going to be able to really defeat Alabama, so I'm going to give this one to Alabama here. And as well as the fact that Alabama, of course, it's going to be interesting to see because, they have Kalen DeBoer, who led the Washington Huskies to number 2 in the nation, and as well as the national championship game, where they lost to Michigan. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do to help turn this tide, to leading the Tide, excuse me. Now with the Tide not having Saban anymore, and I'm gonna be interested in this game as well. So let's just see what they do. But here I'm gonna give this one to Alabama. Next week they're playing at Florida, and I have to say this that I really think that if Florida can't improve off last season, LSU is gonna win this game. Let's just say that. So I'm going to give this one to LSU right here. And next week, they're playing Vanderbilt at home. And I have to say, Vanderbilt hasn't really been strong recently. Like last season, they went 2-10. So it's going to really depend on. If Vanderbilt can improve a lot. I just don't think it's going to happen though. And Now, of course, it's college football. Anything can happen, but I just believe that for that, I just want to see what. I just don't think. Sorry, guys. I just don't think Vanderbilt is going to be able to really. I don't think Vanderbilt's really going to be able to upset LSU because this is going to be a big test for them. And yeah. So I got Vanderbilt losing to LSU, and I got the Tigers winning this one. All right, next, so they're playing Oklahoma, and I actually believe in the Oklahoma video. I actually said I had them losing to LSU, and I'm gonna say this I may actually keep the pick. It just depends on how Oklahoma does this season. Of course, with Oklahoma being their first season in the SEC, it's gonna be interesting to see how they do against other conference opponents as well. And of course, I want to see what all Oklahoma can do ever since with in this course of the season, of course with this being the final regular season game. Let's see what Oklahoma can do in the SEC, learning more about their SEC opponents and more what on earth and what on earth Oklahoma can do to potentially win a conference championship in the SEC. Now, of course, unfortunately, it's looking like it's unlikely that they will do that. But however, you just never know. It's college football; anything can happen. But however, I just think that Oklahoma. I just don't think Oklahoma can do it. So I'm going to give this one to LSU. All right, guys. That's all I got for y'all tonight. If y'all like this video, leave a like, subscribe for more college football content. And also, guys, keep in mind these are my predictions. These are what I believe will happen during the season. And hey, feel free to leave your predictions in the comments down below. I'll try my best to respond to each and every one of y'all. And thank you all so much for watching this video. Leave a like, subscribe for more of this content. Peace out.